Can I tell you a secret? I used to think that ring mods were just for making robot noises. Now, to be clear, I haven't thought like that for a few years now, but until recently, I still hadn't found a ring mod outside of plugins with presets that I found particularly musical. Enter the Red Panda Radius. Welcome to Get Offset. My name is Emily, and you look absolutely radiant today. Like I said, this is the Red Panda Radius, and I'm going to show you a few of my favorite sounds from this machine. If you only care about the sounds, go ahead to the time shown on screen, which should also be a timestamp in the video description. As you might have guessed, Red Panda sent me this to demo. They sent it to me a few months ago, so I'm sorry, Red Panda. It's been a crazy summer, and I just wanted to make sure I did this pedal justice. They've also agreed to pay a small stipend to me, but thoughts and opinions are all mine. And by the way, fees like that are what keeps this channel going. Like a lot of Red Panda's pedals, the Radius is very much an instrument as much as it is a pedal. And it has way too many features for me to fully cover in this video. After all, it's billed not just as a ring mod, but as a frequency shifter as well. It also has a little sequencer, which I'm not going to get into. Listen, I mean, the manual is 31 pages long. To be fair, a lot of that is dedicated to the web editor and MIDI and explaining what the hell a ring modulator is and does, which I really appreciate. So like the MIDI and stuff, I'm not going to touch on today because I don't really do a lot of MIDI, even though I know it would make my life easier, but I digress. When the Red Panda Radius was announced just before NAMM, I was already pretty sure that this was going to be one of the most exciting pedals of the year. 8 months later, and I still very much feel that way. This pedal is inspiring, and it's so easy to get lost in it in a good way. But let's cover some controls and get into sounds as quickly as possible. I'm playing a Fender Jazzmaster with Fender's Kunafe Cobalt Chrome pickups in it. My amp is the Benson Chimera plugin from Mixwave. First things first, the Radius has TRS stereo ins and outs. I will be running this pedal completely in mono today. The right foot switch is a bypass, and there's an aux foot switch on the left, and that can be changed with their web editor, but it's set to push to tune by default. So look to the manual for the other things you can do with that. You can also use it to set tap tempo and scroll through presets, things like that. As for the other controls, and we'll get to each one as we get to it, the first one is mix. That is the upper left there. Okay, listen. After that, we get to the point where it really helps to have an understanding of what ring mods are and how they work. The manual, the full manual really dives into that, but to be blunt, I'm not the person to explain this to you. I still haven't had anyone really explain ring mods to me in a way that clicks, so I'm not even going to try. I know that there's an input oscillator, and then there's another oscillator, and they like multiply and stuff, and you can get a lot of sounds with it depending on the amount of control that you have, and the amount of control the Radius gives you is impressive. All that's to say, when we start talking about carrier frequencies and stuff, I'm as lost here as I was when I was playing bingo in Russian class in kindergarten. I had no idea what was going on. All I knew was that I was not going to win bingo that day. We're here to learn how to use this ring mod, not for science or math. So the rest of those things, we're going to set the rest of the knobs either at noon or all the way down, and ignore everything else for a second. Just trust me on this. So after, let's hear the clean tone. Let's just go ahead and do that. I have a guitar pick. Let's go ahead and turn on the pedal. The first thing after mix that actually matters to us in regards to getting cool sounds is the range. We have that right here. It's a toggle. We're going to set this to low, which is where we're going to find those bubbly, phasery tremolo sounds, and that's my favorite way to use this pedal. All right, let's start to add some of this frequency control, which has previously been all the way down. now we're hearing a cool phaser-esque tremolo, right? So the track and frequency knobs, they interact pretty wonderfully here. So what I like to do is turn track all the way up, and let's set frequency to about 1 o'clock. It's over here. So when we turn that track a bit to the left, that's counterclockwise, it gets faster. And when we turn frequency clockwise, but right here is this just lush, wild, fluttery tremolo, and I really love it. And then with track all the way down, we start to feel a little bit like a ring mod there. But we can drop the frequency to mellow it again. And if we crank the track and drop the frequency to about 9 or 10, let's hear that. That's about 10. It kind of sounds like a mild phaser to my ears, and I really love that. So if you never even want to use this as a ring mod, you can get presets that are some really cool variations on tremolos and phasers and just this gorgeous modulation. And that's a pretty great place to start, I think. Now, if you're already sold on this pedal, which you might be, please consider hitting up the affiliate links in the video description. These links cost you $0 extra, but I do get a portion of the sales shared with me, which is a very validating feeling. It's a great way to support the channel doing things that, let's be honest with ourselves and each other, we were probably going to do anyway. And if you generally like this channel and me, you can join our Patreon for access to our exclusive Discord server, which is open to the $5 a month and above tier. You can also tip or say thanks below, but no pressure to ever do that. Now let's add some modulation, or rather a lot of it, so we can really hear it. I'm going to crank the amount and set the rate to about 2 o'clock. There are a ton of waveforms here. You can kind of see them. It's probably a little bit hard with the lighting, but you can kind of see them above these two knobs because this is the modulation section, and you can go through them via this button here. Let's hear a couple of them. So the first one was obviously a sine. This is going to be a square wave. There are some kind of random different steps. I love how glitchy that sounds. Then the red ones are more mathy. That's also like consult the manual for more like information about that. I like that one a lot. There's also an envelope controlled modulation. You hold that. haven't really fine-tuned that one, so we're gonna go back away from it. We're just gonna turn the modulation down for now. All right, now we're gonna look at the ring mod / frequency shift knob. Let's move the frequency back to noon, leave track cranked, I think. So yeah, let's talk about the frequency shift. At noon, it's just ring modulation, but moving in either direction creates a new frequency on the upper or lower sideband. There is math involved. Read the manual if you want to check it. But if we turn between noon and either 9 or 3, that's just adding a shift up or down. Going past that also adds feedback, which I like. So let's go ahead and sweep both directions to hear it. So that's with feedback. That's up with no feedback. The other was up with feedback. Down with no feedback. And down with feedback. There's a real richness being added, right? A bubbliness. So let's combine that with this toggle here. This is the shift to X toggle. It doubles the frequency ratio of the upper or lower sideband. So if the shift is all the way to the right and the toggle is up, it feels like the rate doubles, right? We can really make this pedal purr if we fine tune things. So let's turn shift all the way down, toggle down. I've got, let's see. I got track around 9 and frequency around 11. That's both really sweet and bubbly and also kind of spooky, and I really like that. Let's try it kind of opposite. So shift up, toggle up, and let's keep everything the same as it was. It's hard to explain, but sometimes I feel like I can cue up a sound where the tremolo either gets suddenly faster or suddenly slower. Next time I find it, I'm going to save it as a preset. Not that it's super hard to recall settings. Like some other pedals have lots of like secondary hold settings. This doesn't have that. This is actually pretty easy to recall things, but I'm better at losing things. Like, I don't have any pedals that sound anything like this, and gorgeous. But like going back to the idea of finding things and losing them, You have 4 onboard presets. So all you have to do is navigate to the whatever light that you want it to be on. You hold down for 2 seconds and it's saved. It's that easy. And you can save 100 presets via MIDI. So that is the low range, which is my favorite. Let's go ahead and look at the middle mode, which is full ring mod. The upper mode is also ring mod, but it's quantized, which makes it a little bit easier musically. The full ring mod scares me, so it's something I really wanted to dig into, but this has a lot of features that make it easier to go full ring mod. So let's move frequency shift, track, all these things back to the middle, and it is definitely a ring mod. But this has a really cool feature. You have to hit a note. All you have to do is hit a note and hold down that aux, and it tunes it for you. You can obviously, like, this feels like magic. Obviously you can tune it manually if you want to. But it's a lot easier on stage to just do that. So it will catch those octaves too. This feels like magic. This is just like, we can mess around and like pentatonic stuff. It's really nice. It sounds, it still sounds weird. It still sounds like a ring mod, but it sounds usable. So we're going to ignore frequency with this section because that's what I'm using the aux foot switch for. Again, you can still tune by ear. I'm not as good with it, so I'm going to do that. Let's mess around with the track knob. Going all the way to the right, it adds this lowness and spookiness. And all the way to the left, feels a little bit harder to explain, maybe like messed up radio waves. We start to get those kind of bell-like tones. And everything in the middle, of course. So here's a setting that I found that I really liked. Track is about at 2:30, frequency's at noon. The frequency shift is past 3 o'clock, and I have the shift X2 up. Forgive the bad note. I'm really just having some fun here. To me, this sounds like a mix between like a broken bell and a synthesizer horn. I don't know why I am so obsessed with this tone, but even like if you drop the clean down and you put it into something like a dirty amp, I think it would sound really cool. It's just like this little itty bitty weirdness that you're adding to your clean, and I just love it. So this video is already getting kind of long, so I'm just going to show you one more trick. Listen, this pedal is bananas. It's so inspiring, and it would be impossible to show you everything that it's capable of in a single video. I mean, I've had it for 3 months, and I feel like I've barely scratched the surface. So middle range, shift 2x up. I generally like the shift 2x up. Frequency shift just above 3. I think that's what I meant. Track just below 9. And frequency in the middle because we're really not using it. Let's turn the mix all the way up for funsies. Just even with muted strumming, it sounds kind of like a cocked wah. When you start playing, it sounds like your modem from 1999. I call this the birdhouse at the zoo if the birds were replaced by robots. I am in fact going to save that over here. You can get some crazy tones on this. That is bonkers. This pedal is just so inspiring to just play around, find things. It's one of those pedals that really plays you in some ways, so definitely use those onboard presets. Use the MIDI ones if you do MIDI. Just go into it with an open mind, and I think you're going to be really, really pleased with it. So we can also blend in some modulation though. And call it a day. If you liked this video, please check out another video I did of a Red Panda pedal that absolutely terrified me, but ended up containing some of my favorite sounds I've ever heard in a demo. Like, comment, subscribe if you wish. Patreon affiliate links in the video description. Thanks for watching. Thanks for understanding. Until next time, my name is Emily. Goodbye.